Okay, so filters. What are they? How do you use them? Well, every single time you use a filter, I just want to point out the first thing you'll see, it's pretty obvious, is that they'll each have a number in the corner. And these are the number options 0 all the way to 5. Now, here's how this works. It's as simple as this. Remember this 2.5 is neutral, meaning if you put a 2.5 into your enlarger, it doesn't really change anything about your image. Okay, so just remember that 2.5 is neutral. As you work your way up, and it becomes increasingly so that it does more of this, it decreases the contrast. What does that mean? That means that if you have any blacks in your image, they're going to get grayer. Any whites are going to get grayer. Just kind of knocks out all the contrast. Everything kind of becomes the same. It also increases detail, and I'll show you an example of what I mean by that, but you'll be able to see more of those midtones. You'll be able to see more of the detail there. Opposite way does the opposite thing. So anything from 3 all the way up to 5, again, in the increasing fashion, increases contrast. The whites get whiter, the blacks get blacker, the midtones get knocked out. It decreases detail. So I want to point out though, every single time you use a filter, it's going to change your exposure time too. So guess what you have to do? Yep, you got to make a test strip every time. So here's an example. Here's a test strip done on a regular picture, and I wanted to point out something kind of obvious, but as soon as I see it, you're going to say, okay, I get it. Obviously, when I make it, if I made a test strip and I knew this was my image, I wouldn't make it up the sky because there's not enough detail. It's really hard to determine what the correct time is based on this area up here. Pick an area of your print when you make your test strip that has like stuff in it, right? Like all the way across, so you just can decide better, right? So it's a lot easier to look at it obviously with a full image, but if this is 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, and you're looking for photographic black and photographic white and all the details, as this photographer has pointed out, 18 seconds looks pretty good for us at that specific aperture. Okay, so filter in a nutshell, here it is. So here's the print. If we did an 18-second image with a 2.5 filter, see, look, nothing really happens. The image just looks the way it's supposed to look, or without the negative. When you add a 00 filter in, look at that. You can see all the details in the grass become more obvious. In the bricks, everything's like more obvious, but see how there's no photographic black anymore and the grays are kind of not there? It really decreases the contrast. And you can see over here with the number 5 filter, obviously the blacks get blacker, the whites get whiter. All those details in the sky and the grass and the bricks just get knocked out. So filters are really seductive things. They look great, but be careful. Like I get a lot of photos that look like this, where, I mean, I like high contrast images, but look at what happened to all the detail on her hair and on her shirt. They just get knocked out. So you really want to be careful when you're using these high number filters down here. There are going to be times when you're actually not going to want to use it because it'll destroy your print and it'll take out all those details in the image that actually are kind of important. So that's filters in a nutshell. Just going to point that out to you guys. If you just remember this, you've got it covered. And just remember, you got to use a test strip. The rest of it just comes from practice.